Okay, today we are playing a game on Lijiang Tower. We are in the Gold SR range, and we'll be playing Orisa the entire way through. And we are not on the console for once, if you can believe it. I know. So control, tower, center, whatever the hell this place is called. I can never remember, to be honest with you. So Winston's jumped on us, which is, you know, there's better things he could be doing with his time, but, you know. So, Mercy rezzed him. It's not impossible for us to have guessed she was doing this, but I didn't hear it. But we didn't need to hear it, necessarily. It would be asking a lot to infer this at the time, but we can see Mercy stood over here. Oh, nope, that didn't draw a fucking thing. We can see Mercy stood over here, because that's where her tether's going. And then suddenly, the tether breaks. There's a dead body, like, next to us, so it's not impossible to imagine she went over there. Could have possibly heard it as well. I couldn't hear it, but I'm fucking deaf. That's what happens when you listen to metal music as loud as possible. It tends to create issues later. But I mean, what's the point of listening to music if you aren't listening to it loud enough for it to cause issues later in life? So, we didn't use Fortify while Winston was on us, which I was pleased about, because Winston's not doing any fucking damage to us regardless of Fortify. So, come on, YouTube, you can do it. At this point, things have started to be a bit of a mess. We waited a while to put the shield down, and, you know, we put it far enough forward that it's fairly easy for the enemy team to just walk through it to start doing damage to us, because we did just put it, like, right in front of Toes. Toes can just walk forward. So, if we put it closer to the staircase, it would have been safer, because people can just walk through the shield to start hitting us again right there. Whereas if we put it closer to the staircase, we're asking a lot more of them if they're going to come over and start smacking us through. They have to commit a lot more to it, and then we've got more space to fall back from. Because as Orisa, we fundamentally don't like people being right on top of us, really, you know. Orisa is, like, better equipped to deal with it than, like, Toes is, someone, like, being right on her face. Also, this is pre-nerf, you may have noticed from the 900 health shield. Pre-adjustments, perhaps we should say. So, our shield is currently in a terrible position. We're going in slow motion right now. Excellent. Our shield is currently in a not good position. Our shield's been off cooldown for a while, but we've just been walking forward, shooting these bad men, not thinking about the cooldown. Our shield's been off in fucking nowhere land the entire time we were doing that, so there's really no reason we should have died right there. We could have just moved our shield, and then doesn't happen. Oh yeah, we have the perfectly square reticle. I'd forgot that, because we've seen this person before, and I'd forgotten. I've just never seen a perfectly square reticle before. It's very novel to me. I don't really like it, just because I don't like anything that isn't just the dot, basically. I don't like all that extra, like, visual noise around the reticle, to be honest with you, but I mean, you know, personal preference. So we've come back and immediately been clapped again. You know, Dragon Blade will do that to you. We are getting just, like, fucking blitzed by Junkrat the whole time as well. We can see Junkrat's bombs coming down on us from the upper story, and we just push Fortify, like, way too late. Basically, as soon as he starts flipping in front of us and the bombs are coming down, like, just push Fortify. Fortify is one of these abilities where it's usually better to use it too soon rather than too late, because if you use it too late, you've already taken all of the damage, and Fortify is not going to save you at this point. So it's better to use it too soon than too late, because at least then you're going to block some of the damage, which is the point. Very, you know, the typical Orisa thing to do is take a bunch of damage and then go, oh fuck, use Fortify. But by this point you've already taken 300 damage. The goal is to anticipate the 300 damage is coming, and then use Fortify first. Then you take drastically less than 300 damage, rather than being at 100 health and going, oh fuck, this is awfully low, isn't it? So, you know, you gotta kinda read the damage that's coming in. Here we've used Fortify, and, you know, having just complained about using Fortify too late, I'm not gonna complain about using Fortify too soon, because by this point, nothing's coming at us anymore. And it would be rather hard for it to do so, to be honest with you, because Junkrat's no longer firing at us, we can see, so it's just, like, Genji got a little shot in on us, but that Fortify ended up blocking very little damage. And we were, like, really far back. It's not like there was much that was going to shoot us from that angle. We're being lifted right now. We've got Fortify up in time to just drop right back down again. Here's something very fun, but not at all practical you can do with Fortify, with Toe's ult specifically. If you use it while you're being lifted, it kind of forgets to stop lifting you. So you tend to just go, whoo, straight up in the air, rather than going up to, like, the point and then dropping you back down again. You just go way back up again and then fall back down normally. It's very fun. There's no practical purpose to doing this, unless you wanted to get insanely fucking high as Orisa, but there's not much practical benefit to that. But it is pretty sick, though, and that's the more important thing, I feel, anyway. So we've managed to fend them off regardless. Toe's ult didn't exactly get a whole lot done. I think we were the only person he actually hit with it, so he didn't get a whole lot done. Doomfist, you know, he decided to go for it right there. It didn't really pay off super well. So we'll complain about Halt a little bit, just to, you know, cover all the bases with Orisa, where we don't really want to fling it straight at the enemy team, because the way Halt works, if you don't have a movement ability, you have to, like, hit the ground again before you can start moving. So the goal is not usually aim it straight at the enemy, it's aim it above the enemy, because then, if you aim it just at them, it pulls them into the ball, and then they can immediately start moving again. Now, they're slowed, so that sucks for them, but they can just start moving in a direction. If you aim it above them, they have to fall, and then they are allowed to move again. Unless they have some kind of movement ability they can use in the air, in which case, you know, they can use it while they're in the air still. But people like Ana, Zen, they have to physically fall before they're allowed to start moving again, which effectively increases the crowd control length of Halt, because they're stuck in this very predictable yoink fall. Now they're allowed to actually start, like, playing the video game again. If you're just, like, trying to get, like, if you're trying to, like, peel for somebody, like, if Genji is, like, flipping around using Dragon Blade trying to kill the Mercy, then you're not really particularly bothered about, like, yanking him into the air, because, I mean, he's Genji, he's got air movement anyway. But it's more important to just, like, yank him off of the Mercy. So I find it easier with, like, when you're trying to peel a flanker off of somebody, it is easier to just aim it at their feet, like, right behind them, because then you yank them off the person that they're trying to kill. All flankers have movement abilities anyway, except Reaper, so, like, the fall doesn't really affect them. You're really just trying to give the support or the DPS some more space, and it's easy to just, like, aim it at their feet behind them in that case, because they're usually, like, doing some weird flipping shit, which makes it awkward to hit them, you know. Flanker stuff. Very annoying. And that's all the assistance you really get to do as Orisa for somebody being killed by a flanker. Tragically, Halt isn't the best peel in the world. The person usually still dies, but, you know, something's better than nothing. So, why did we use Fortify? Because Coalescence is coming in at us. I mean, it's not the end of the world. Coalescence is, like, as long as you can, like, fall back behind something or healers nearby, like, you don't want to have to use Fortify for Coalescence unless you have to, because it's not a massive amount of damage, and, like, a wall beats Coalescence, you know? Which is a lot less resource intensive than using Fortify is, but you're not always in a position where you can do it. And if, like, you don't think you're gonna get healed, then just mitigating the damage is more important than anything else. But ideally, we don't have to use Fortify for Coalescence, unless we absolutely have to. So anyway, we won that round, and to be honest, it wasn't particularly close. We didn't really have to do anything. Like, it was one of those rounds where it feels like we were probably going to win that round regardless of our input, because we didn't really have massive input that round. We spent a fair chunk of time, like, being dead. Some of it not exactly in our control, like the Dragon Blade one, like, You know, I complained we didn't use Fortify soon enough on the, like, the Dragon Blade Junkrat one, but, like, to be honest with you, we died during that exchange regardless, you know? It's just one of those things where, like, it increases your chances of winning slightly, and that's the goal, to increase your chance as much as possible, but to be honest with you, we died there, regardless. The big one to focus on that round would have just been the time we were, like, walking forward without our shield down and died to Chungrat spam. Like, that one was a pretty bad death, and easily avoidable, and then at that point, if we avoided that death, like, we're talking about an entirely different round at that point, because everything subsequent past that would be different. So, that one mistake would lead to large ramifications for the round overall, where basically nothing after that point would have played out exactly the same way. So things could have hopefully gone better for us overall. But again, we won, so who fucking cares, right? If you don't get punished, you don't have to learn. That's what I always say. So why have we used Fortify? Because we're currently being killed, and Fortify is halfway through its cooldown. YouTube is the worst of all time, by the way. We used it because Fire Strike was coming at us, I think, or we might have just fat-fingered it, also. You know, either way, Fortify here, not good. You know, it's possible we fat-fingered it, because it didn't really look like it was going to be blocking a whole lot, but either way, didn't need to use Fortify here, and that's ended up being bad. I've gone back again, because that shield is so far forward as to be more or less useless. Because it is right in front of the enemy team, so anybody over there that wants to shoot us has to take like 2 steps forward, and bam, they can shoot at us again. Whereas if we place said shield here, well, now they have to come a lot closer to us if they want to shoot through the shield. They have to cover a lot more distance of us spamming at them before they can shoot at us at this point. The shield being this far forward is essentially useless because they have to commit so little to get around it. Nobody on their team is really bothered about stepping through it to shoot at us, because they've got like Pharah, Diva, Reinhardt, so they're not exactly worrying about the barrier, but throwing it that far forward, they have to concede no ground to start shooting at us again. And we want the whole thing with Orisa is we have a lot of like area suppression, right? So we want them to have to walk across a lot of open space if they're going to walk through our shield to start shooting at us, because then we've been shooting at them the whole time they've been closing in on us. Ideally, with our shield being 600 health now, you know, Roadhog can break it without reloading. Such is life, you know, but either way, we want it to be closer to us than them. So, we're still winning the fight regardless, you know, like I always say, if you don't get punished, you don't have to learn, all that. Wait, hold on, why do we put our shield over there now? Because nothing was really happening. Come on, YouTube, you can do it. Because we moved our shield, like, over there. I guess just thinking about Pharah more than anything else. I'd rather, like, save the shield until I know which way they're coming from. And in general, if you're, like, efficiency-wise, it's better if you put it there before they're coming, because then, you know, the cooldown is up by the time they actually start pushing in. I find it is usually safer to assume they're going to come through this doorway than that doorway, because people are pretty afraid of being booped off the edge at this point. I find people are very scared to go this way anymore. Your mileage may vary, but I find it is usually better to assume this doorway rather than the other one. Or, you know, this one, depending on which side you're on. Or the enemy's team is on, I suppose would be a better way to put it. But I find that's usually the case. Your mileage may vary, you know. Usage-wise, it's better if you put it down ahead of time, but then you do risk them just, like, completely ignoring the shield. But if you put it down ahead of time, your cooldown will be up again anyway by that point, hopefully. So it ends up not mattering too much, usually. It's basically, you know, I'm doing a lot of... I like to do a lot of nitpicking and saying a lot of pointless things. That's just how I kind of am, to be honest with you. So here, this Fortify, we've used it while the shield is in front of us. Again, we put the shield really far forward. Toes doesn't have to commit a lot to walk through this shield and start shooting at us again. We've also used shield Fortify while we're behind the shield, which is not good cooldown management, because ideally, we're behind the shield. We don't need to use Fortify unless they start walking through the shield or the shield breaks, or we have to walk through the shield for some reason. And then when the shield is down, we use Fortify instead. Because this is something you can do as Orisa and Toes as well. when your shield is broken, you can't, if you don't have another shield to put down immediately, or if you're playing toes and you need to let your shield regenerate a little bit, you can let your shield break as Orisa, push Fortify, step forward, and then body block for your team instead, because you're still physically a big person, and while Fortify is happening, you're not taking a lot of damage, so you can body block for your teammates while you're waiting for the cooldown on your shield to come up. If you're playing toes, you need to let your shield regenerate. You can take your shield down, use Kinetic Grasp, step forward, body block, then back up, put shield up again after Kinetic Grasp is over. Because Kinetic Grasp, you know, no damage from the front unless it's like a beam. And then you've got the shield afterwards, so you can like body block a little bit more as well after that, because you will hopefully have gotten a fair bit off Kinetic Grasp. Body blocking is an underappreciated aspect of the video game. Even more important for Orisa and Toes now that their barriers have been nerfed as well. You need to cover the extra, like... With Orisa, you're gonna be, like, a couple of seconds off your cooldown pretty frequently. Just like Fortify, stand in front of team will give you the extra time you need, usually. So, shield, you know, ideally, you put the shield closer to the bongo when you place it down. It is good to put a fresh shield in front of the bongo when you do it, but over there, a little bit far away from the bongo. So we did just lose both our healers right as we did this, so unfortunate timing. Such is life. Could we have... If we go back further, because we can stop Ryan charging him, you know, how many steps back do we have to go to maybe prevent this from happening? Well, we used Fortify right there because we were getting barraged, so already it's not terribly realistic to have assumed anything different. Because once barrage is being used, you pretty much just use Fortify on reaction. So, yeah, you know, we won't sweat too much on that one. Both our healers got clapped, and we were backing up to put the bongo down. We used Fortify for barrage. That's fair enough. It is feasibly possible, you know, we block the charge instead, but I mean, you know, sometimes it's not worth worrying about these things. Sometimes you're allowed to just go, we got fucked. The really unfortunate thing is just, like, both our healers dying right as we put our bongo down, so it's like, yeah, you know, we're gonna lose this team fight pretty much. So we're getting shot at by... Oh, right, yeah. It's been a while since I've actually seen Lucio use Sound Barrier in Toes' ultimate, so I was like, oh, I haven't seen that one for a while. I'm mostly just gone back right now because I'm, like, thinking about the Pharah. Like, if there was something else to do to avoid all this damage, but I mean, not really, and we're going in with Coalescence anyway, so we're getting healed up while we're going in. So, you know, Ryan's getting a lot of ult charge at this point is something I'm thinking about. We don't really have a lot of control over whether or not we block Earth Shatter as Orisa, unfortunately. When your shield's cooldown gate, damn, she built that fast. She did farm a lot of ult charge off of us as we were walking in, to be fair. Unfortunately, when your shield's cooldown gated, like Orisa's is, you don't get a lot of say over whether or not you block Reinhardt's Earth Shatter, because Reinhardt can just wait for you to put it down, and then go, alright, she can't block me for 10 seconds now, and then just walk through your shield and Earth Shatter you. If you're playing Reinhardt, by the way, and you're playing against an Orisa, do not just assume that she doesn't have her shield. Wait until you see her put a shield down before you make any big plays with your Earth Shatter, because a lot of times Reinhardt's will come around the corner, just see a relatively healthy looking Orisa barrier on the ground and go, she must have just put it down, and then walk through, use Earth Shatter, and Orisa just goes, what the fuck are you doing, dude? And puts a new shield down right there in front of you and blocks the Earth Shatter, and you're like, and she's like, sick, calculated, woo. It wasn't calculated. But wait till you see her put the shield down before you decide what you're gonna do with Earth Shatter if you're playing against Orisa. So I went back here for why we're using Fortify, because Pharah's on us. Fair enough, you know. We don't know how committed she's going to be to it. Where was she, though? I suppose that's the question to ask now, isn't it? Forgive me, I like to complain about relatively... She's all the way over there. She's really far away at this point. Because she's all the way on the other side over there. Yeah, she jumps up, gets a shot or two at us. Like, right now, just like, before we do that, right, just look up before we push Fortify. Because we saw our Farah so far away from us that, like, just look up and see if she's, like, really committed to Goomba stomping on us before we use Fortify here. Take, like, an extra shot if she is committed to it. But, like, given how far away she was previously, I wouldn't expect her to commit super hard to trying to kill an Orisa. Faras are usually more concerned with killing squishy people because it takes a fair amount of investment for Farah to kill a tank unless she has Barrage. So they tend to avoid, like, going for full focus down Goomba Stomp the tank unless they have to. Or unless there's, like, nothing better for them to be doing, I should say. So he blocked the Reinhardt charge this time. He's, like, gonna die regardless, because, I mean, even if we don't block him, he's charging into, like, everybody shooting at us, so he's gonna arrive with, like, no health and die immediately after. You know. Easy peasy. Won the game. We honestly had to do nothing for this to happen. Like, this is one of those games we were gonna win regardless, because our teammates were just doing well in our absence a lot of the time during this. To be fair, like, a fair few of our deaths, you know. Like this one, you know. Life is hard, is pretty much what you say about that one. You know, we walked through the door in front of it, like, but we're looking at, like, that's the thing, is that, like, he's on the left-hand side, and, like, what are we looking at right now, right? We're looking at that, aren't we? We're not, like, looking around this door frame to see if, like, Junkrat's gonna use his fucking ultimate right there. We're looking at our Moira fighting their Moira. So, it's not the sort of thing you anticipate happening, so, you know, that's one of those deaths you're allowed to just go, you know, fucking Junkrat's right there. What can you do? What we got going on with the YouTube today? We got, Overwatch Defran destroys Chibsa and watches his raging. Hilarious. I don't know why I just suddenly couldn't fucking read right there. Good stuff. Dato, Doya, fighting games, Dragon Ball. Good stuff. I'm a fan. Northern Line's my favorite YouTuber. Magnet Muscles, what happened? I say it every time, you know. We got anything else? Yeah, I have drawing implement now. I have tablet. Wow, look, here's tablet pen. I'm learning to draw, so art stuff will now occasionally appear also. Oh god, the green screen. What a disaster. I'm still bad, but you know, everybody has to start somewhere. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you did, I can't really think of anything overarching that stood out. We basically just talked about a lot of, like, random stuff. So, you know. Thank you very much for watching. If you did, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us. I start streaming on Twitch Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 8 PM EST till 11 EST. I'm sorry, I smacked the shit out of the table. There's a link to the channel in the description, and if you managed to make it all the way through the video and somehow still enjoyed it, please like the video and subscribe for more content of middling quality in the future, and I hope you found the video helpful.